Hello class 11 students, we had already started the chapter in the previous class and we have seen that Siddha has been employed in Mr. Sivsankar's house, and it was Leela who actually decided to keep Siddha in their house when the parents were indecisive, and very soon Siddha and Leela, they become great friends. And we have seen how Leela and Siddha would play with a red ball, and how she would ask Siddha to throw the ball into the sky, and once Siddha would just close his eyes and throw the ball into the sky, and the ball would come back, then Siddha would say that it has touched the moon and the moon is sticking to it. When Leela won't be able to see it properly, Siddha would say that you have to see it very quickly, else it will evaporate and go back to the moon. And then he would hold the ball tightly, and through the gap of her fingers allow Leela to see it, who would be very excited. And then she would ask that, have we touched the moon? Can we stand on the roof and touch the moon? And then Siddha would say that no, we cannot stand on the roof and touch the moon, but if you stand on top of a coconut tree, you can touch the moon. Have you done it? Asked Leela. Yes, many times, said Siddha. Whenever there is a big moon, I climb a coconut tree and touch it. Does the moon know you? Yes, very well. Now come with me. I will show you something nice. So, Leela is saying, so you stood on a coconut tree and you have touched the moon. So Siddha said, yes, many times. Whenever I've seen a big moon, I always climb up a coconut tree and touch the moon. So I've done it several times. I've done it many times. So Leela said, does the moon know you? So do you know the moon? And Siddha says, yes, very well. Now see, I'm going to show you something very interesting. They were standing near the rose plant. He said, pointing. You see the moon there, don't you? Yes. Now come with me, he said, and took her to the backyard. He stopped near the well and pointed up. The moon was there too. Leela clapped her hands and screamed in wonder. The moon is here. It was there. It was there. How is it? So now first he showed it from near the rose plant, and then he goes to the backyard and see, you can still see the moon. So he's trying to give an impression that he knows the moon, and that's why the moon is following him. That kind of an impression on the little child, and the child is very happy. I have asked it to follow us about. Leela ran in and told her mother, Siddha knows the moon. So she's so happy seeing everything, and she says that, mother, Siddha knows the moon. At dusk, he carried her in, and she held a class for him. She had a box filled with catalogs, illustrated books, and stumps of pencils. Stumps means, when you sharpen a pencil and you make it very small. So those are stumps with which you hardly can, write properly. So those are called stumps of pencils. Catalogs is where you have a list of things. It gave her great joy to play the teacher to Siddha. Yes, this was the time when Leela could kind of dominate on Siddha. She made him squat on the floor. Squat means sit on the floor, with a pencil between his hands. Means squat in the sense that you sit with the folded legs that way. So squat on the floor with a pencil between his fingers and a catalogue in front of him. She had another pencil and a catalogue and commanded, now write. So just like a teacher would say, now write, now do this thing, in the same way, she would hand over one catalog to Siddha, and the other she would take it in her hands and she would say, okay, now write. And she would feel very happy. And he had to try and copy whatever she wrote in the pages of a catalog. So whatever she wrote on the catalog, whatever she drew or she wrote, Siddha had to copy that. She knew 2 or 3 letters of the alphabet and could draw a kind of cat or crow. So a 5-year-old child, so she knew a few alphabets, whatever she knew and whatever she could draw, she would draw those things on the catalog and ask Siddha to copy it. But none of these could Siddha even remotely copy. Siddha could not do anything with that. She said, examining his effort, is this how I have drawn the crow? Is this how I have drawn the bee? She pitied him, redoubled her efforts to teach him. But that good fellow, though adept at controlling the moon, was utterly incapable of plying the pencil. So, very humorously it has been said here that Leela wanted Siddha to copy whatever she drew or wrote on that catalog, and Siddha would not be able to do it. So she would, just like a strict teacher, she would scold him and say, is this what I have done? Is this how I have drawn the bee? Is this how I have drawn a cat? Don't you know anything? And then she would take pity on him, and she would once again redouble her efforts, means she would once again try to teach him, this is the way you do it, this is the way how you draw the crow or cat, whatever it is, and this is how you write a bee, in that way. But everything in vain, because Siddha and very humorously said, though he is adept, that is, he is quite capable of controlling the moon, but he cannot write with a pencil. Consequently, it looked as though Leela would keep him there, pinned to his seat, till his stiff, inflexible wrist cracked. So Siddha was not in a habit of holding a pencil, so he would not be able to hold the pencil properly to write. So Siddha would be there sitting without doing anything, helpless, till his wrist would crack, means it would really pain. He sought relief by saying, I think your mother is calling you in to dinner. Leela would drop the pencil, run out of the room, and the school hour would end. So Siddha would, how would he release himself? He would just say that, Leela, I think your mother is calling you, so you should go now. And the moment Leela would hear that her mother is calling, she would drop the pencil, and that way the school hour, that is that session of student teacher would come to an end. After dinner, Leela ran to her bed. Siddha had to be ready with the story. He sat down on the floor near the bed and told incomparable stories of animals in the jungle, of gods in heaven, of magicians who conjure up golden castles and fill them with little princes and their pet. So, it was a beautiful, imaginative world that Siddha would weave through his stories. And what would they have? They would have animals, they would have gods in jungles, they would have magicians, who showed, who had the power to build castles, then pets, and all these things which would at once, draw the attention and interest a child, a 5-year-old child. So Siddha exactly knew how to, how to make things interesting to a child. So we stop here today. We will do the rest of the chapter in the next class. Thank you.